Hey there guys, it's Metro, and today we're back with another video about some dungeoneering. And I wanted to make this video especially as a follow-up to the tier list that I created. Hopefully everybody's seen that. Did you guys like it? I know a lot of you did, but some of you are shadow priests. Anyway, that's not for now. So what I wanted to do in this video is talk a little bit about the ways that the tips and tricks that I've kind of talked about in previous dungeoning videos can be applied. We missed the time by a very thin margin. And a lot of that is because of small mistakes that could have been alleviated either with more experience, like I talked about in the first video I made, or more optimization, like I talked about in the last video I made about the classes. So there's a bit of poor optimization right there. I should have pulled those bears before the pat came, but I wasn't aware. Now this is teaming, of course, so there's 4 mobs here. So this would have been a great time for any type of AoE stuns and silences, which we do get there. And of course, magic immunities and stuff like that are always useful for these mobs. There's a lot of damage going out, and on higher difficulty levels, it can become very difficult. But, teaming is a great time to bring AoE. You know what I mean? Everybody says, oh, boss damage is more important than it's ever been, which is very true, and you're going to see some examples of that as well. But AoE is still the majority of the dungeon. Like, the 30-some minutes that we're in here, most of it is spent doing trash, even though we wipe a few times. Well, we wipe once on a boss, and that's basically the reason we don't get the timer here. I almost said gold, but it's the reason we don't get gold. We missed gold by that time. But anyway, yeah, a lot of these pulls would be made exponentially easier with a nice stun like we have there from the Resto Shaman, with a grip, and this is of course the skittish, whatever it's called, skittering one. Where the mobs kind of just go and do whatever the fuck they want. It's really annoying, and it's difficult for me because I've not played in a tank perspective from that for a long time. So yeah, we're gonna make a little skip here. We kind of like made an amendment to how we were skipping this here. Usually I would just pull everything, but again, this would be like a massive pull. If I was on my DK, we'd grip it all together. But since we can't grip it all together, we have to be a little bit more conservative here. You can skip those mobs to the right and left. So you want to, I guess you kind of want to do that. I don't know. Something else that I really need to get better on is learning the pulls. I think we're still way over mob count here. And I just don't really know how to alleviate that. I need to watch more, more competitive clearing, because I just don't understand how you can skip mobs without invis pots in some of these dungeons. This one, there's a few other ways you can skip things, so I'm not really too surprised. I think we do pull a little bit extra, but regardless, it seems kind of odd to me. Like, they made these timers in a way that you really do not want to pull extra, yet they did not give most dungeons a way to not pull extra. So I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but regardless, that's kind of how it is. Okay, so while we have a moment here, we got these 2 bears coming up. Very dangerous pack, but I do want to talk about a few things. So next up, I'm going to be doing a healing and a tank tier list as well, separate videos, 2 more videos then. But I don't really know which one I should do first. But regardless, the reason it's going to take me a little bit is because I either tank or heal if I've done a dungeon. I've never done a dungeon as a DPS in Legion. Not a single dungeon have I done as DPS in Legion. Not on the beta, not on live, not anywhere. So I am much more equipped to do the DPS one, because first of all, there's always 3 DPS. As you see, we have Marksman Hunter, DPS Rogue, we got an Outlaw Rogue, and a Havoc. So I know a lot about these because I've played with them. But when I'm tanking, I only can get 1 healer, and it's usually somebody from the guild, because I really dread pugging a healer. And then when I'm healing, I dread pugging a tank, and it's usually somebody from the guild. And that kind of gives me really limited knowledge. So if I'm going to make the tier list, I need to do a lot of research. I want to make sure I don't make the mistakes I made on the DPS one. Frankly, not knowing that Shadow Priest had a stun is embarrassing. It makes me look stupid. It makes me look like I don't know what I'm talking about. So anybody who criticizes me for that is 100% right. But obviously a lot of things were not mentioned in the video. That does not mean I'm not aware of them. I did forget to mention Rallying Cry, but of course I am aware of it, and it was on the list of why Warrior was where they were. But so I need to be aware of these things as tanks and healers, because there's only, there's less of each. So the video is going to be either really short or has to be more detailed. And I'd prefer it to be more detailed, to be honest, especially in terms of healing. There's a lot of kind of like back and forth that you can do with healers, like a lot of ways you can change things around, a lot of ways you can help your group in ways other than heal. So I need to be a little bit more thorough with that. So I would definitely appreciate, if you guys are watching this, some feedback and help on that. Some things that are huge gaps in my knowledge pool right now. Okay, there's two major things that I really need some outside information on. Number one, why is bear so good? I see a lot of people bringing bears to like plus 15. Now, I'm not making the video with plus 15 in mind. Like I said in the DPS one, I am expecting you to be doing dungeons that you are adequately geared for, whereas a lot of people doing plus 15 obviously are not 880 plus. So they're doing it because it's a challenge and they want the completionistness. But when you're taking a certain comp to these things, I like to understand why. And maybe it's just because of gear, but I do see a lot more bears than I expected. As of right now, I would definitely say bear is the number 2 tank on my list, but I don't really know why. And that's a problem because I'm going to try to tell you why. And all I know right now is that a lot of people are bringing them and they're very survivable. I'm going to assume it's because the high health pool they get allows them to just simply never be like insta-gibbed or one-shot by any of these weird mechanics. I assume, the health, the healing increase that they get from their mastery also helps them with this, but I just don't really know. They have flexible, versatile, anti-magic, these types of things are really useful, but I don't really see how they're better than other tanks, and I'm kind of struggling to see that. I basically don't think I play with a bear this whole expansion as well, which is another weird thing. I see obviously a lot of people bringing them to raid progression rate, and I completely understand why they'd be great for progression rating. But so yeah, if anybody has any tips, I've also seen them do a lot of damage, but then again, I've seen every class tank-wise do a lot of damage, so that's something I don't really understand. Next up, the other one that I have very little knowledge on is Discipline Priest. It's another one that I'm seeing represented very severely, and I could understand the basis for it. Like, I understand that the extra damage helps, but we had this talk in the beta. We've had this talk on this channel a few times. Discipline does less damage than any other healer, and they do less healing than any other healer. But they do both consistently. So is that really what we're after? Are we really in a situation where that's exactly what we want already? Because I'm really surprised. I'd be really surprised by that. But from the videos I've seen, Discipline seems to be able to keep everyone alive. But I don't know. It doesn't seem like they do as much damage as I'd expect them to be able to do. So it's like, for example, if I was playing my Paladin as a healer, I can do like well over 100k on bosses, but nobody's going to get healing during that time. So I have to make the choices more. But meanwhile, like a Discipline Priest is doing 100k and they're, healing at the same time. But if I, I healed less and did more, then I'd probably be able to do closer to 150 to 200k. So I don't know. I just wonder if the main reason that people are favoring Discipline a little bit, like I see Resto Shaman at the top, like for logs, that is, not for the list. I see Resto Shaman doing a lot of high level mythics, and I completely understand that. People need lust, people need stuns. Resto Shaman's got a great kit for 5-mans. But of course, the Discipline I just don't really understand, because everybody had this discussion. It wasn't just me as well. Everybody sat down and said, oh yeah, Discipline's just not good enough at either thing to be considered seriously. But now it seems to be the complete opposite. So I don't know. I was wondering if any guys had like real experience with that. I would love to hear it, because it's really interesting to me. But yeah, anyway, so here we're at this boss here. This is a good example boss here of kind of being undergeared. So I consider this dungeon the easiest one. I love this dungeon. It's one of my favorite dungeons. But some of the mechanics are really, really brutal. Like this one especially. This boss is a fucking pain in the ass. By the way, if he picks you up and you bubble, it does not stop the fucking damage. Now, I don't know if that's a bug or what, but that is fucking retarded. First time I found out about that, I was freaking out. I was so fucking tilted. It was unreal. But anyway, I am getting my ass kicked here. I'm very undergeared for this, by the way. I'm only about 856, I think, on my as Prot. Now, of course, a big part of that is weapon and trinket. Everything else I'm wearing from Holy. But I've just not had a lot of time to get gear. And this is the main reason I'm doing this on my Paladin still, is because I still need gear. Whereas everybody else in the group is well over 860. I think Bracari is 865 at this point. Rogue is probably like 863 effective. He's probably like 863 as well. Sub is going to be like 888 or 868 after this run, and you're going to see why at the end. It's kind of cool, but yeah. Anyway, the pulls and stuff go pretty smooth. I think this is a pretty good example of how you should pull a dungeon, especially now. Like I said, a little bit under geared. There's definitely ways to make up for it, but I think a lot of it just comes from gear right now. So I'm kind of approaching 5-mans as like a mindset like of TBC. You know, it's like just one pull at a time is fine. Kill it as quick as possible, and you'll be all right. But the big problem is here, like I said, we're already at mob count now. We do try to skip the the big water ad there, and we just don't do it. I think because somebody aggroes it or something like that. I don't know. So it's pretty funny when all 5 of us are in voice comm and we can't make a skip like that. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So I'm just not really sure what else we could have done. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what we could have skipped to get this mob count down. And if there was something we could have skipped, I would have loved to hear about it, or a way to do something differently that would have allowed us to skip something differently, because that's the big thing from dungeons. Like, back in MOP, there was a lot of things you could do a little bit differently to skip a lot of mobs, and that was a big deal. Learning those strats, you know, it's like a speed run in Dark Souls. I always equated it to that because there was so many similarities. It's like you just play the game a little differently and you were able to skip everything. But so yeah, here, watch this. I think I show this, right? Pretty sure I do. Yeah, so fucking sub just is too slow. That's the healer there. But anyway, no big deal. So we do pull this, and that is obviously going to put us way over mob count. But either way, we were going to be way over mob count. Like, we're still going to be like probably over 10% over with the 4 packs that remain. So I just don't really know what to do about that. I'm not sure if you guys do. Like I said, I really need to just spend a little bit more time watching other people do them. That's the big thing. I learned so little by doing in previous expansions. Like, I loved just combing, looking for people doing crazy shit. But a lot of it was, you know, things like, so as you see there, we wipe. Obviously, we lost a huge chunk of time there because of that. That's the main reason we don't get the time. If we just didn't wipe there, we would have done it. And it's sad, too, because we fucking lusted. I mean, we had all the tools, and we just couldn't get it done. So it's just under-geared and under-experienced, really. That fucking rock slide shit, though, is brutal. These people are getting a little bit stacked up, so that thing hits 2-3 people, and if you don't move immediately, you're fucking toast. So it's a pain in the ass. This is a tough fight as well. I think a lot of people would agree this is probably one of the harder fights because of the the moving you around and then this rock slide thing. But of course, hey, I told you, rock slide does 90 damage, man. It's only got 90 accuracy, but it's a tough moving Pokemon as well. So that's that. But anyway, the overall course of the dungeon I felt went pretty well. There's a lot of times where you would see a situation where like a grip would have been really useful. This is a dungeon where grip is really useful. Or Vortex. I've seen a lot more favor in Vortex now. So that's another thing I need to talk about, like where healers are able to contribute utility. I don't see a lot of it, and that's the big issue, mostly because of people I play with. A lot, like, it sucks to say, like, Sub's great guy, and everybody in my guild's great, but like most people I play with don't think outside the box. And that's kind of hindering me, especially since I have such little time to play right now. Those two things are hindering me severely because I'm only able to play, so many hours a week. And then during that time, I don't want to do anything other than optimize it. So it's like, all right, should I pug and try to learn something from people, or should I risk getting a fucking retard and not being able to complete what I want to complete? And that's really common, honestly. Like, the amount of 5-mans I've tried to pug, I might just do that, man. Maybe I should just do that, huh? Let's just pug all 5-mans and record it. That's not a bad idea, actually. How do you guys feel about that? We could probably learn way more, even from failure. And I think that's healthier for me right now. Like, I think I would learn more about these classes and the things I was just talking about from failure than I would from success, because I'm so, like, comfortable with our success, our moderate success. I'm not trying to brag here, but, like, I'm comfortable doing what I'm doing, and I don't learn. And I think a lot of people are like that. I'm sure you guys might agree, but that's a big issue for me. I always felt that way, even in like education and like prior games and stuff like that. I get complacent. I think everybody does, but you get complacent. You think, oh yeah, I'm good enough. I know everything there is to know. But that's just never the truth, ever fucking the truth. And when I fall into that trap, we miss gold. We miss the time. And if I knew more about this dungeon, if I knew more about the things that I can do to maximize. But actually, fuck all that. If pots weren't so goddamn expensive, I would have shit on this time, because I'd pot on every fucking pull like a real damage dealer would, Man, it's just so infuriating. I hate how fucking expensive pots are. It really pisses me off. This is one thing that I am really dissatisfied with in Legion. Now, I understand everybody wants professions to be serious again. Well, I don't know if everybody wants that. That's what everybody said they wanted. But I don't think anybody actually fucking wants that. So Blizzard's like, hey, you guys asked for it. Here you go. So rank 3 is just so overpowered. And I don't have it. And most people don't, I think. So pots are still like 1k each, which has got to be the dumbest shit I've ever seen, considering I would have used 20 plus pots in this dungeon. So I'm going to spend like 30k gold on a fucking dungeon. I could just buy a boost, you know, like what the fuck? That's retarded. So yeah, obviously that needs to change. Farming is just not like, it's not an option right now. I don't have enough time to farm full consumables for progression rating and for like the 5-mans that I do. But anyway, those are some of my minor quibbles. Now, this part here is obviously the end of the dungeon, and somebody whispered me. I can't even see what that says. But anyway, yeah. So we're gonna take this boss on. We're just waiting. Since we already missed the timer, we're gonna wait for CDs. I think I'm waiting for pot here. I still have the old versatility pots, which aren't bad at all for tanks. That's the one thing that does kind of suck about the new. Like, I used to love the fact that the bonus armor pot was also a great DPS increase. That's one of my favorite things, to run in and pop the bonus armor pot, and then obviously be a lot more tanky. But then again, you know, the health pots were pretty overpowered as well. Like the fact that they scale with resolve. So I don't know. Tanking's just changed a lot. They changed a lot about the tanking dungeon model, and I'm also really dissatisfied with like how exponential the increase in damage is coming up for damage dealers compared to tanks. You know, there's obviously that's not true in all cases, but like, yeah, I'm very undergeared and I'm not really optimized at all for this. Like, I don't have a single enchant. First of all, my gear is fucking terrible for this. I should not even be allowed in here. I have the worst 2 stats on almost every single piece for Prot because I play Holy. So yeah, people who say it's like off spec unfriendly. Yeah, I guess I could understand the basis for it, but you're just bad. Like, if I can do this shit in the gear I'm in, then you should have no Prot. Like, I'm not even, yeah, I don't care about Prot. I don't want to play Prot. I'm just playing it because I need to tank, and I like tanking, and I don't have time to spend on my DK right now. But that time is coming this weekend. I'm going to be spending a lot of time on my DK, and I'm definitely going to be recording some low-level mythics with complete pugs. I won't bring a single person I know. I really like this idea. So there you go. So we're going to do that, and then everything that. So take a listen to this. This is a good example of World of Warcraft.
Yes, let me die.
Wow, that's a nice chest.
Oh, dude, can I have?
It's an upgrade, I can't trade it.
Damn.
What chest you got?
880 relic. Oh, I got a legendary. I got the belt! I got the belt!
Nice, dude.
Nice, dude.
I just love listening to that, man. That's my favorite part about WoW, like the nerd scream. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. If you have any comments about, like I said, the Guardian Druid and the Discipline thing, I would love to hear it. Otherwise, thanks again for patronizing the channel. Patronizing, that's not the right word. Anyway, we'll see you guys in the next video, which is probably going to be either the DK, pugging stuff, or more tier lists coming soon.